Everyone, it's Nick here with Nick's 80s Hard Rock CD collection. Hope everyone's well and doing okay. The band we're going to look at today is a band that came from England, and they actually formed in 1978. Now, we're talking about Whitesnake. As I said, they're English, and they formed in 1978, and back then they had a very blues rock and roll type sound, and it was really the mid to late 80s that they developed a more commercial hard rock polished sound. Now there's quite a few albums they released back in the very early 80s that were hard rock blues. I won't go into all that. I used to have a few of their albums, but I don't anymore. The albums that really did well are the ones that the two main ones which I'm going to talk to you about. Now, the lead singer, David Coverdale, he's been in the band since day one. There's a picture of him there. He's a bit older there than what he used to look like, but so David Coverdale, the lead singer, has been in the band since day one. And an interesting fact, the band Deep Purple, hard rock band Deep Purple, he actually sang for Deep Purple for a while. So he's on at least about 2 albums, I think. So he was the lead singer of Deep Purple. Then he formed Whitesnake. Now, this album, it's Whitesnake. It's 1987. That's the name of the album, and also when it was released. Now, this album went 8 times platinum, which is a hell of a lot of album sales. Believe me, it was certified 8 times platinum in the United States alone. And it's just a really polished, as I said, commercial, polished album. And it's they had 2 main hit singles, Is This Love and Here I Go Again. Now, Whitesnake had a knack, they had a gift for writing the most heartfelt ballads, I reckon. They, really lush ballads with nice guitars and sweeping keyboards, and it was that they just had the knack for doing that. There's, speaking of ballads, there's a few here: Looking for Love, Crying in the Rain, Is This Love, which is a beautiful song. Here I Go Again, that's sort of a ballad. So this album was just huge, and I have a particular fondness for David Coverdale's voice. He has got such a very strong voice, and I've always just admired his voice, how strong and just how it suits the music. And I think it was back in the late, would have been maybe early 90s that I think he had to have some kind of throat surgery because he was losing his voice, or he lost his voice, something like that. But I remember he had to have some kind of surgery or something like that, which a lot of singers do go through because of obviously the strain on their voices. All the singing they do every day, pretty much. So that was 1987. Now, we fast forward to 1989, and they released an album called Slip of the Tongue. And this wasn't as successful as 1987, but it was still very successful. It still went platinum, or 2 times platinum. And this album actually featured Steve Vai. Now, Steve Vai is a really great guitar player. He's a real hotshot guitar player. I mean, what he can play will just blow your mind. Anyway, but Steve Vai was in the band, and he did all the guitar work on this. They had they had really good songs called, Now You're Gone, The Deeper the Love. They were two big ballads. And they had some rocky numbers as well. But just a really great follow-up to 1987. And as I said, it reminds me of Whitesnake reminds me of a bit like sort of Bon Jovi, later Bon Jovi, where Bon Jovi's work was very polished and had that big sound. That's what Whitesnake was like, if you're a bit unfamiliar with Whitesnake. As I said, great keyboards and great big guitars. But anyway, we move on to... now, there was another album released in, I think it was around 97, 98. No, I think it was called Forevermore. I don't have that. Now, this album here, it's called Good to Be Bad. And this was released in 2008, so it's 2008. And I actually picked this up a few months ago now, actually. I got it second hand. And it's just it's Whitesnake, that's all I can say. I mean, it doesn't really... It doesn't really stand out like their other albums. These ones, it's just got your average great hard rocking songs, but there's nothing that really jumps out at you. Well, it didn't for me, but I'm not saying it's a bad album either. So don't get me wrong, still a great album. It's still Whitesnake, so who cares? It's Whitesnake. Yeah, so that was. I don't think they had any hit singles, to be honest, on this. It's 2008, so but they got some really nice songs on it, and that was 2008. And this album here was released last year, so it's very recent. It's called Flesh and Blood. Now, I actually like this album compared to this album, so there you go. That's just my opinion. But this is just a really rocking. It just, from the opening track, it just kicks it, And David Coverdale has not lost his voice at all. He can still belt out the songs, and he'd be in his late 60s at least, I'd say. David Coverdale, there he is there. Now, I don't know if the last band I looked at was Winger, and one of the guitarists, Seb Beach. Seb Beach, the guitarist. There he was back in Winger, back in the early days, just there, last on the right. He's actually one of the guitar players who's in the current lineup of Whitesnake. And just another little fact, when Whitesnake were touring back in the very early 90s, Vivian Campbell, who's now the guitarist for Def Leppard, there's Def Leppard there, Vivian Campbell played with Whitesnake. He didn't play on any albums, but he played live. So there's a picture of Vivian Campbell there, who's now in Def Leppard, as I said. So Whitesnake was just that they had the really rocking songs, and they had the really big monster ballads, and David Coverdale's just got a great strong voice. As I said, I've always loved his voice, and they've had a long history. As I said, they started off in '78. They had bluesy rock albums, back in the early days before they went commercial, and released 1987 and Slip of the Tongue, and a couple of albums in between. But look, Whitesnake have been around for a long time, and I hope they still keep going. It doesn't look like they're slowing down, so congratulations to them. But just a fantastic band, and they've survived the test of time. Really, they've kept on playing, and that's great to see. So I think they've sold over 20 million albums, something worldwide, or something like that. I don't know the exact figure, but so there's Whitesnake, just a great rocking English band. Now, the next band we'll probably look at is, let's see, we'll look at a band called Enough's Enough. There's their debut album, Enough's Enough. Yeah, I'm not quite sure whether any of you guys know much about them, but we'll take a look at them next time. So until then, thank you all again for watching. I hope everyone is staying safe and doing well and trying to keep your spirits up. And until then, I will see you later. And as the boys from Whitesnake have been doing since 1978, keep on rocking. Bye-bye.